Hello, everybody. This is Imtinan Al-Maghribi, the Master of Ceremony of this event. Your Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Al-Qaed, our event patron, our distinguished guests, speakers from all over the world, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the opening ceremony of Virtual Bahrain 2020 online conference and exhibition. The new normal initiative bringing sectors together for the next plan through technology. In these uncertain times, promoting awareness and providing information and advice from our experts is the key to the organizations in order to deal and adapt with the new normal. This event is going to help and lift the countries separate, keep people connected, and highlight the continuous contribution of several private and public sectors. Virtual Bahrain aims to highlight the Team Bahrain achievements as we now witness how Bahrain unites, stands strong, and emerge steadily after the national challenges that we have been facing. Virtual Bahrain provides comprehensive conference session that aims to tackle different topics such as e-government, e-commerce, education, health, and a lot more. You can also take the advantage of the virtual exhibition in the event platform in which you can network with over than 50 companies exhibiting from various sectors. This event will not be possible without the help and the support of our partners and sponsors. Our strategic partner, UNDP, and our partner in conducting a study on the effect of the pandemic in each sector in the event. Sala Gulf, our silver sponsor. EDX Labs, our technology sponsor. Ittisalcom, the bronze sponsor. And our event partner, Information and eGovernment Authority, Technology and Business Society, Arab ICT Union, Internet Society Bahrain Chapter, TechoSmart, and ThinkSmart. Our media partners, Biz Bahrain, Al Bilad, Social Media Club, and Teletimes International. To start with the event, please allow me to call on the chairman of the Arab ICT Union Society and Bahrain Technology Company Societies, BTEC, Mr. Abedli.
Good morning, everybody. Am I here now, or everybody can hear me? Okay. Good morning, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all participants, and in particular, the patronage of this event, His Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Al-Qaed, and all those who make this event happen because of their partnership or because their sponsorship. I leave all the names to Mr. Hujeri because he can do this better than me. Actually, when we thought of organizing this event virtually, what first came to my mind is His Excellency Mohammed Al-Qaed. I still remember the meeting I had with him in early 2001. And at that time, there was some pandemic. That was the YK pandemic, if you remember, Your Excellency Mohammed. And at the same time, we have the reform led by His Majesty the King. So that was the two things happens together. And Mohammed at that time was, I think, at the CIO, and at that meeting said, Abedli, what shall we do? We have the parliament, and we have the YK, and we have also in mind to start what e-voting. And from that journey until today, maybe the e-voting didn't happen in Bahrain, but the achievement done by the e-government, or the hundreds of services the e-government was able to do. And in the core of this team was His Excellency Mohammed Al-Qaid. At that time, I asked him, Mohammed, what makes you confident that you will do this? And the answer from him was trust. And I said, what is the relationship between trust and technology? What is the relation between trust and solving all the tech problems? He said, I will tell you. By trust, I mean, number one, I trust myself. Number two, I trust my leadership. Number three, I trust my people. Number four, I trust my team. And the last but not least, I trust technology. And if you go through this 20 years of journey, as what we are facing today, we're facing the pandemic and the technology. And I do trust Mohammed Al-Qaid that with his ambition, with his trust, we will overcome this crisis. Because number one, I'm sure he trusts himself, still trusts himself. He gained the trust of the leadership. He gained the trust of the his people, and he gained the trust of his team. And above all of this, he trusts what he saw in his achievements. So what I heard a lot of talks, the pandemic, the victims of the pandemic, the loss of the pandemic. But when I see what Bahrain has done through this pandemic, I go back to what Mohammed told me 20 years back, that we trust. So we trust that our government will be able to overcome this crisis. We trust our, let's say, people who are working, like His Excellency Mohammed Al-Qaid, working to let or facilitate through the technology what our government would like to do. And I trust our people, and also I trust all the NGOs like BTEC or like UNDP or whatever that will help everybody to overcome this pandemic. So please let us be optimistic, and let us have trust in every single member of this community, whether it's Bahrain, the Arab world, Islamic countries, or the world, that we will overcome this, let's say, so-called crisis. And our event today is a concrete proof that we trust the capabilities of the Bahraini, let's say, people, that they can achieve what maybe other people cannot. So please let us give a big applause to His Excellency Mr. Mohammed Al-Qaid as a patronage and as a leader who can trust what he wants to do and to achieve what he wants to achieve. Thank you, Your Excellency Mohammed, and welcome to this virtual event. On the side, I'd like to thank Think Smart, headed by Mr. Al-Hujari, because without Work Smart, this event wouldn't have happened. And I leave the thanks list to Mr. Al-Hujari because he's by far better than me doing it. And again, I trust him that he will do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bedli, for your encouraging speech. And now, to grace with the event, it's with great pleasure and honor to introduce a renowned leader in IT and e-government fields in the region, recognized by his highly reputed profile of contributions in the IT initiatives and projects, and his active role in developing Bahrain's government entities. Our event patron, Mr. Mohammed Al-Qaid, the Chief Executive of Information and eGovernment Authority, for his patron speech.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanks, Abedli, for your kind words and for your introduction speech. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to be here with you today and would like to thank Bahrain Technology Company Society and Work Smart for organizing this conference, showcasing national and regional achievements amidst the current situation and bringing different sectors together through technology. The ongoing COVID-19 crisis has generated a sense of urgency for the world's digital agenda. Forced to keep physical distance, but with the technology bringing us together, societies are increasingly recognizing the critical importance of digital infrastructure and services. According to a recent publication by World Economic Forum, by end of April, 70% of the world faced stay-at-home directives. But solid digital infrastructures and e-services enabled only 10% of a global workforce to work remotely, supporting close to 300 million jobs worldwide during this time. Internet usage grew by 70%. Use of virtual collaboration tools grew by 600%. And I think everybody can challenge this percentage. I think it's much, much higher, but that's what the study shows. Thanks to the Kingdom's visionary leadership, a responsive government and a vibrant ecosystem that consists of capable business, a strong community and social support networks, the Kingdom of Bahrain had already reached an advanced stage in its digital transformation journey even before the COVID-19 pandemic hit. This pre-existing digital framework and commitment to innovation helped minimize the impact, saving lives and accelerating plans that would previously have taken years to realize. The disruption caused by the pandemic has placed a renewed focus on the importance of ecosystem-driven transformation. In collaboration with Bahrain's various ministries and governmental entities, the authority is working to achieve the Kingdom's digital transformation objectives. Collectively, we have been able to deliver tangible results in a short period of time. Bahrain's most notable recent achievements during the pandemic include the digitization of judicial court services, bringing most public services online. From an educational perspective, we upscaled the cloud infrastructure to enable greater access to the EduNet e-learning portal, enabling students to continue their studies virtually. While there are still formidable challenges ahead, there are also incredible opportunities for growth and development that could redefine the entire educational experience. The Kingdom was also able to embrace the benefits of e-health with many essential functions now accessible remotely without needing to visit hospitals or health centers. Through the government portal, national portal, citizens, residents, and businesses can access a wide range of essential e-services from the comfort and safety of their homes. Many have embraced e-commerce and e-banking as their preferred methods of conducting financial transactions. With the online and contactless payments continuing to gain traction, the Kingdom is edging ever closer to becoming a cashless society as outlined in the Bahrain's Economic Vision 2030. To unify and strengthen Bahrain's response to the global pandemic, His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince, Deputy Supreme Commander and First Deputy Prime Minister, directed the formation of the National Task Force for combating the coronavirus. To support the task force, the IGA launched the Be Aware app, Bahrain app. I think all of you know about it and probably downloaded it and using, which centralized the latest health recommendations and international developments in one user-friendly interface. It helped authorities identify and monitor cases, minimizing the potential for virus transmission and saving lives. The success of this app, as shown by the surge in its usage and uptake, demonstrates the crucial role digitization plays in our fight against the virus. With the COVID-19 pandemic, the economic and behavioral trends are likely to challenge the way in which public and private entities function and deliver their services. And new priorities will emerge, which will drive rapid digitization across sectors. I would like to use this opportunity to emphasize the importance of public-private collaboration and cooperation in the advancement of the Kingdom's digital agenda, and attribute a special appreciation to Team Bahrain and everyone's cooperation and efforts in the past months in supporting the community and business continuity. Although the social and economic effects of the pandemic are beyond our control, we can manage how we react to them. I hope virtual summits like this would trigger collaboration for delivering targeted solutions to tackle challenges arising out of post-COVID era. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your encouraging words. Moving forward to our agenda today, we would like to welcome our strategic partner, UNDP in the Kingdom of Bahrain, represented by Mr. Stefano Pittinato, the resident representative of UNDP in the Kingdom of Bahrain.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. It is an honor for UNDP to be able to support the Virtual Bahrain 2020 conference, which is organized under the patronage of IGA's CEO, His Excellency Mr. Mohammed Al-Qaid. And I thank you, Your Excellency, for your trust in having UNDP join forces with BTech and with Work Smart, that I also give an acknowledgement to, of course. We partnered as UNDP in this event because we saw it as an opportunity, as we believe firmly that the digital and IT sectors and the related solutions that come from those sectors are crucial, particularly during these times of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I will talk about now three main reasons for which we see digital as a key priority to emerge from shocks in general, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, and to build better towards the future. Firstly, Bahrain's digital ecosystem, as we just heard from His Excellency Qaid, is a highly strategic dimension of the Bahraini economy, providing jobs and contributing to economic growth, as is also evidenced by numerous reports, for instance, by the EDB. Think of fintech, advances in cryptocurrency, cybersecurity progress, the entry by giants as AWS, and the role of the IGA in all of this. As such, during a shock like the COVID-19 pandemic, the digital economy needs to be prioritized within the design and implementation of the recovery strategies, and Bahrain is an excellent example of this. Secondly, some sectors of the economy are more flexible than others as they respond to new challenges. Companies can better adapt to the new realities through innovative digital solutions that will be able to lead the way for others also to overcome challenges within their marketplace. In other words, go digital as a way to circumvent new challenges. And finally, last but not least, we see how the same digital solutions that are adopted today to react to difficulties that are present now may become in the future the new normal in doing business, and will be maintained as companies find new paths of growth, new markets that also reflect new sources of demand in the market, and even new products, because from the consumption side, we see also changes and shifts. We're seeing a more conscious consumer, aware of the sustainability of their product that they purchase, the social content of the business and of the product, the environmental impact, especially among the youth. So we need to move from response to the current problems to setting a new normal. And when the recovery and return to business takes on digital solutions, it can not only bring companies back to profit, but it can also lead to more resilience to future shocks and to increased sustainability, perhaps greener business practices, and inclusiveness. Overall, if we look around the world, and UNDP operates in over 170 countries around the world, we see that the deepening of digital transformation through innovation, resilience, and knowledge So we can call this, in a sense, digital depth of a country and of people. It has created an engine. This going digital creates engine for prosperity, but also is an effective buffer or shield to adversity, allowing to overcome some major health and socioeconomic consequences. And we are seeing this. What is interesting is that this idea is applicable not only to countries, but also to individuals, to communities, and to firms. And governments have relied on digital connectivity to deliver critical public services, such as healthcare, social and financial support, and health alerts and updates. It has also allowed the enforcement of mitigation measures, such as contact tracing, as well as the research and development of cures or vaccines through information pooling on internet platforms. And yes, as His Excellency Al-Qaid mentioned, think about Bahrain's Be Aware application. I, as an expat in Bahrain, I'm often refer to my colleagues and friends living abroad as this being a very solid strategy for tracing cases that has been promoted by Bahrain. But let me review briefly some examples of how digital deepening has reached differently people, firms, and countries over these past difficult months around the world and to some extent in Bahrain. From the people's point of view, more digital content has meant that accessibility by people, for instance, with chronic illnesses or with disabilities, has been improved, as it has allowed them to work sustainably and safely from their homes, while the stigma of doing so has been reduced. In addition, imagine access to internet that we here, of course, give for granted in Bahrain, but this has been key, and UNDP works in many countries where this cannot be given for granted, and it's a major impediment. While in Bahrain, this has been a great advantage. Bahrain has ensured the inclusivity and access to the internet to most the population in Bahrain by increasing the bandwidth of internet packages and speed for users without additional costs. And this is a key enabling factor that we cannot give for granted. From the point of view of the firms, we've seen that small and medium enterprises in particular had the capacity to maintain business continuity through video conferencing, delivering and payment solutions, collaboration tools, marketing, and protection of digital business with cybersecurity. This has ensured resilience, of course. And from the point of view of countries, we see that the digital element for countries in the past month. For Bahrain, we've seen a much smoother transition to digital than other neighboring countries, because the prerequisite of a solid digital infrastructure was already there in place in the country, as we have heard earlier. A lot of this infrastructure and past investments has been in the works for several years through the work and the leadership of the IGA and the leadership of the country, of the Kingdom of Bahrain, and regulators who have been working hard on transitioning to a cloud-based infrastructure and offer online public services. Think about, in Bahrain, about 98% of Bahraini population has access to the internet, and 1.3 mobile connections per person. All of these are elements of inclusion has been critical. But now, as digital investments and developments are often taking place as a direct result of the pandemic, we believe that these investments will be very useful not only for the immediate, but also in the long term for creating positive structural changes. Imagine developments we see in e-health today and how they can lead to developments in virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and the positive elements from 5G. Last but not least, green and sustainable energy with digital technologies should surely be a path to the future, also for Bahrain, so that increased energy efficiency and renewable energies, when in large scale, will have to require a mature digital infrastructure capacity. And this is happening in Bahrain, and Bahrain is being ably led by the Sustainable Energy Authority that we from UNDP proudly support since 2014. So the possibilities are endless. As a final caveat or a disclaimer, I do want to say that digital is not necessarily a panacea or a solution to all problems. we need to remind ourselves of the crucial role of regulators to contain some of the drawbacks from reckless digital deepening, those that create overdependence and at times decreased efficiencies in companies. And we see it in some countries, and it is a reality. In other words, there needs to be a balance where government entities such as the IGA can play a major role in promoting, but also regulating and standardizing. In sum, as countries, firms, and individuals overcome adversities from the pandemic through investing in their digital deepening within the right enabling environment, they can emerge strengthened with digital infrastructures that are not only more resilient, but also greener and more inclusive, generating prosperity, sustainable economic growth, and of course, benefits to individuals and companies like the ones that join us today and tomorrow. In other words, we would say they can greatly promote the Sustainable Development Goals in Bahrain and beyond, goals that are at the core of Bahrain's Government Action Plan. I want to end by thanking again IGA and WorkSmart and BTech for allowing UNDP to join forces in this event. We're very happy to co-sponsor it. And also, I want to mention that UNDP and WorkSmart, we're going to be working in the background in today, tomorrow, and the weeks to come on a joint initiative that will draw on inputs from this forum, from all of you, so as to put together information that will allow us to better understand the impact of the pandemic on your firm, the digital solutions that you have found to overcome those challenges, and finally, how you have stepped up towards more long-term solutions to become more resilient and sustainable market operators. So please, please help us in sharing your views. You will be reached, and thank you so very much to everyone for participating, and thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Stefano, for your amazing speech. I'm privileged to introduce to you the Regional Azure Business Group Lead in Microsoft Digital Transformation Professor in Maastricht Business School, and our event keynote speaker, Mr. Mohammed Zayed.
Right, I hope you can see my my screen. And I hope you can hear me. This is the new statement. Whenever we start like a presentation, whenever we start a meeting right now, I think the first statement that usually we say, "Can you hear me?" Like it's becoming the new norm of how you start your presentation. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Mohammed Zayed. I have been in Microsoft for 14 years, and I've been teaching as well digital transformation for the last 5 years with Maastricht Business School and for MBA students. And this definitely, I think digital transformation, as His Excellency Mr. Mohammed mentioned, is becoming the ABC of our business. And this is a time where we are connected. And again, we are connected in a way that is removing all the boundaries of how we really group. I am actually talking to you from Amman. So I've been in Amman for the last 3 weeks. I've been actually quarantined for 21 days. And I lived in a four walls, between 4 walls. And I had to develop new skills actually to entertain myself as much as I can to live this 21 days. It's a different world, right? It's when you fly to somewhere else, you can't predict what's going to happen when you land. Sometimes you land in an airport in a connected flight, you stay within that airport and you can't even move outside that country because they decided 5 minutes back that you are not able to board to the other country. It's a completely disruptive model that is happening right now. And don't think about that just only from the view of the process that is happening. Think about the impact that happens behind the scene. And behind every impact, I have been always saying that even in the times of 2008, where we had the economic crisis happening back then, and the downfall of all the stocks that happened back then in the market, I remember I told my friends, this is a time for an opportunity. This is the time for us to sit back, think how we can use the opportunity that arise here and make sure that we help the people, right? We come back and impact the people. I like big time that the keynote speakers before me, the moment that they mentioned that this pandemic, right, accelerated the fact that we need to respond much faster into this kind of crisis. And I believe we built a foundation, but still there is way to go beyond. So what I personally learned from COVID, first of all, I learned the best thing in my life that my wife at home, my partner, and the one that is sharing everything with me, is a true superhero, because I was actually locked down at the home. My company doesn't allow people to come to the office. She had to go back to the government. She works in Ministry of Finance in Kuwait, and I had to babysit the children. Now I am learning a new skill that I never had before, and I truly think that she is a multitasking superhero, that she was doing her job, basically taking care of the children while I'm outside and flying all over the world, all over the region. And that's by itself basically is a learning for me. The working hours is an old fashioned. I don't think that we know the working hours the way how we know them right now. You get tasks and you execute them. You own your own time. We don't have like something where you check in, check out, although some companies, they do them, but it is becoming an old fashioned. Even our work environment is the Teams background, is the Zoom background that you actually choose. That's going to be as beauty. Actually, I was discussing before the meeting when we were doing the prep, what is the dress code that I need to have during my presentation, or even if I had a perfume, anyone basically could notice. Or yeah, it's a new norm that we need to live with. Actually, I learned as well the way how my children responded into the fact that the government came back by saying there is an online learning demand. So I have a kid with 4 years old, and I have a daughter that is 7 years old, and both of them, they had to adapt, right? There is no way for us but to get them to adopt the technology and make sure that they can log into Zoom. Do you know how to unmute? Do you know how to join the meeting? Because we need them to learn. And although so many countries, they have responded fast. And I like the fact that Bahrain was one of the early countries that responded even with the e-learning, and they pushed the e-learning. Actually, yesterday, I was so happy to see Polytechnic launching the AI Academy Lab. This is just an amazing way of how we can see countries responding into the pandemic by making sure that people are aware about the future trends and how we can adopt them. But at the same time, I keep looking into this kind of like talent that has been developed, what they're going to happen in the future. These children, they are ready to be hybrid right away. You don't need to be in an office. Their office is going to be Starbucks, where they can have like coffee and they are in the meeting, right? The way how we define the future for this new generation is going to be different. At the same time, I look into my personal safety, and I look into the gym that finally became virtual, which is something that is very weird. But yeah, I joined a lot of virtual classes in the gym, and I had like to act as fast as possible. And all the time, the trainer was saying, I need to see you in the camera so I see what you are doing. And yeah, it's a different new norm. Now, if I call for research, I call for how COVID really will restructure the organizations and how COVID will redefine the job roles. Are the job roles will be the same, or the job roles will change? You know, when COVID happened, a lot of banks that they rejected the fact that we can have call centers that are distributed. They have been forced to go for a distributed model where call centers, they can be anywhere. Would that change the future of how we can hire people for call centers? Will that change the future of how we hire people and restructure the organization to become hybrid right away to respond to pandemics, if God forbid, and basically they happen next time? How COVID boosted as well our e-learning dependency. And I'm not saying here about schools, I'm saying everywhere. We are in a conference that is digital. We are in a webinar that is digital. I don't have a stage. My stage is basically the wall behind me, right? I'm connected to Zoom, and I hope you can all hear me. But this is a new norm that we haven't been prepared for, but we have been forced to move ahead right away just to react and respond faster. And how COVID accelerated the remote work. I know governments that I have been working with them very closely, and getting the people to adopt opening Teams or joining a meeting online was never been possible. And when the pandemic happened, there was no way, but these people need to be connected. It wasn't a vacation for some companies, right? They had to run because they are first line workers, right? They are the people that will help the country to survive, and they had to work. So we were forced into moving to that remote work. But at the same time, there is a lot of dependencies around it that we haven't been prepared before. Like, for example, the virtual meetings, the virtual desktops, my ability to connect to my data, my ability to communicate with people through a process that is oriented, automated. That all came right away, and we had to do a change management piece. And I'm really happy that I heard His Excellency Mr. Mohammed when he talked about how the government responded and reacted. At the same time, this is a learning for all of us, that we look into all the processes that we have across all the different government entities or even private sector, and we look into what can we do, how we can bridge the gap, how we can remove all these obstacles that were there before, because we need to get things much faster. We need to get things automated, and we need to centralize the platform where people get access to respond and to interact with the government. And remember, this has accelerated not only the smart government, but this has accelerated the new ways of how we adopt AI. And in AI, we will predict what's going to happen next. We will predict what's going to happen next when it comes to data visualization and data predictive analysis that we will do for us to understand, all right, when COVID happened, which areas they have been impacted the most and how fast we responded, how we can relocate our resources to respond much faster than before. And the second thing that I wanted to mention, how COVID made digital visualization and our ability for us to be transparent with the people in a much faster way than before. And that all basically things that I call for research for us to understand the impact. Now, the impossible is now possible. And for enterprises, decision makers, and even employees, a lot of what is impossible now is possible. But the key digital trends that are now there, the first one and the most important one that I look into is the virtual and hybrid environments. We have virtual offices, virtual conferences, virtual parliaments, virtual courts, as His Excellency Mr. Mohammed mentioned. We have an always-on government, 24/7 that comes to you. You don't come to the government. That is in your hand, in the mobile. This is the way how you interact with the government. We have an e-learning platform that is available everywhere, even in companies. Now they are moving all their training that used to be instructor-led to become webinars. Record it, you can view it anytime, you can register anytime. I have attended my annual training that happened with Microsoft completely online. We have digital health advisory, where you can reach out to digital health doctors online, interact with them, and you feel like fine to do that because you don't want to go to the hospital. You're afraid. You always examine risk by going to the hospital. What is the solution? And that's by itself basically is a digital trend. The e-commerce by itself, and you have seen the stock of Amazon, you have seen a stock basically of many companies that they moved, Walmart and all the other companies that they were ready, right, to do. But think about it, like when I had the full curfew in Kuwait, I live in Kuwait. So when I had the full curfew, I had to use an app to book for a supermarket, right? And then I found out, like, why not all the supermarkets, they are available inside an app by now? Like, is that going to be a necessity? Is that going to be 101? Yes, for sure. And not only because of applications like Talabat and all the other applications, no, it's going to become a norm that for you, when you want to launch your commerce, or you want to launch your retail, you think first, do I have a digital platform that I can launch my goods there and people can buy? And I would believe that in the near future, we will move into digital technicians as well. So if you want to fix something at house, you go there, you connect with people remotely, and they will help you out how to fix it. Why? Because this is a new norm, right? And this is going to arise, and so many apps will come up, do the same. At the same time, I would believe the acceleration of the solar energy is going to be much, much, much faster than before. And many reasons behind that. But one main reason is you started finding out that this is the only way. If God forbid everything has closed, I need to stay with electricity. I need to stay as well connected. And this will arise, and this will accelerate the adoption of the solar energy beyond just only adoption of the green energy by itself as a concept. Now, one thing that we learned, all of us as decision makers, is a change management. Now, if you are not a change manager as a leader, you are lacking the ability to communicate to the people. And we learned the hard way that we missed the awareness at the first time of the pandemic, right? The level of awareness, we didn't have like the tools to communicate with the people, right? We didn't have a structured tools that allows us right away to communicate in a very structured manner, distribute the messages, make sure that how the people react, analyze that reaction, and build up basically change process that can help us adapt on the reaction of the people. And based on that, we will provide the new processes. All of that we learned it through the pandemic. But now is more than ever for any decision maker, for any digital leader that wants to adopt digital transformation, change management is key for me to be able to deliver and get people to adopt. But remember, it's going to be much faster than before. People will not be resistant anymore, basically, for the pandemic like before. And I hope I'm on time, by the way. It's I'm sorry if I didn't allocate it, but I'll finish in 3 minutes from now. What I would recommend for the digital leaders, look into the change management as a framework, look into how you can adopt it, and look into how you can respond much faster. Look into as well, if you want to restructure the organization, make sure that you adopt a change management process that will help you to do that. If you are going to tell people that you must be in hybrid, think about the adoption of the people, think about the people that they are not aware about the technology and how we can get them to be up and running as soon as possible. But at the same time, you as a leader, you need to be a digital transformation leader. And I'm not saying here as a CIO, I'm saying here, you as a chief financial officer, you as a chief HR officer, you as a CEO, you as a person that needs to disrupt the business. The only way for you to move forward is to make sure that you have that toolkit within your execution, which is digital transformation, fundamentals and assessment, and ability for you to adopt the new trends. But don't underestimate ever the cybersecurity threat for the people that are working in the hybrid. We have learned that phishing has increased massively because people, they started accessing their emails, right? And because they know that people, they join Zoom in the school and they didn't have a password, and people, they hacked these kind of like Zoom videos, and they started basically getting with and talking to the people. All of these cases happened, and now we know that we need to make people aware how to protect themselves when they have when they are responding here. The last thing that I wanted to mention is reminding all of us, are we ready for what is post-COVID era? What's going to happen afterwards? Are we ready to respond back and come back much stronger than before? I believe yes. I believe we have the leaders now that they are aware about the digital impact. But at the same time, I believe all of us, we need to have all the industries emerge in one group and discuss how we can help each other to move to the next level when it comes to the post-COVID era. Because without that collaboration, we will find a gap and disconnection that is going to happen that will not lead to the desired outcome that we need to reach for the post era, which is an economy disruptive model that will help us basically arise across all the different industries. And we have now the leadership on board. It just now is the time for execution. With that, I want to thank you so much for the time. And I hope I didn't take much time than what's required. But I really want to thank as well the organizers, Work Smart, and everyone basically that helped making this possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed, for your amazing speech. And once again, we would like to thank our partners and sponsors for your support in this initiative. Thank you all for being with us in the opening ceremony of Virtual Bahrain 2020. Kindly visit the Virtual Bahrain exhibition in this platform and take the advantage to interact with the quality delegates from all over the world. For the available conference session, kindly head to session 1, Digital Transformation in eGovernment, commencing shortly.